On this computer. Boom. You're good to go, Josh.
All right, good evening and welcome to the March meeting of the Green River Grotto. My name is Josh Brewer, and tonight I'll be talking about the modern exploration of Carter Cave. And I am the project cartographer at this point, although I hope to have help as this project goes on. So in the beginning, Barry and I had a dream. This photo was taken at Stinson's Cave. And Barry and I were given the Western Kentucky Geological Survey reports by Preston, who's on tonight. And Preston and Sherry are big members of the old KSS, which joined with the KSS. And so I always give a good shout out to Preston. And one of the reasons that I just love Preston and Sherry so much is that they ran the WKSS for 28 years. They didn't hold any formal meetings. They didn't collect any dues. They published all their leads. They invited anybody who wanted to survey to come. They didn't have secrets or any politics to hide behind. And, you know, that's kind of what the Green River Grotto has kind of turned into the last few years. I think 3 years ago, we decided we don't need dues. We don't spend that kind of money. So like just come hang out and cave. And at the bottom here, this was taken out of an email that Preston sent me. But he says, caving, virgin caving, exploring where no one has ever been while surveying and recording and documenting and publishing. And I really think that, you know, that spirit is what I try to have here in Kentucky as a branch really of the new KSS that has been established as the Western Kentucky Regional Coordinator. And so I feel like that our group is kind of picking up where Preston and Sherry and the WKSS left off in many ways. But, you know, I'm always talking about Preston and Sherry, but really and truly, there is a lot of people who spend a lot of time in the WKSS. And so here's a list. Now, if you're a caver, you've probably heard of Dr. John Milroy, pretty big name. Mike Dias, and Joe Saunders are people who I yell out all the time. I never got to meet Joe Saunders, but he seems like a caver that I'd really like to hang out with. And that's Dagny, if you heard her getting riled up. Ernie Payne did a lot of work in Carter Cave. He's an Evansville, Indiana caver who spent a lot of time down here. If you go down the list, Gordy, Barry, Tommy, those are big name cavers. Ronson Elrod and I were actually at Western Kentucky at the same time and worked for Dr. Crawford at the Cave and Karst Department together. On the second list, Joe Park, he was the head of the original Carter Cave survey. And so he's in this group. Bill Edison's a guy that I've met, a really cool guy. Gary Collins, and some of these people I don't know, but should definitely be recognized. It's the WKSS wasn't the Preston and Sherry show, even though that's how I kind of come off sometimes. It's just because I love them so much. And you know what? These guys were getting it done. There's 3 Lou Bicking award winners in this group. That's the highest award that the NSS gives out for exploration. They surveyed 240 caves, 100 plus miles of passage. And all of that stuff was, you know, pulling tape and documenting. So, you know, that's a heck of a lot of work to be done from 1978 to about 2005. And so Barry and I, we used to text message and chat at night. Carolyn would get upset and she'd be like, who are you talking to? And I'd be like, oh, it's just Barry. And then Barry would send me this thing and say, did you see this? It says, you know, Carter Cave, 15,000 feet with an additional estimated 1 mile that has not been surveyed. At the farthest length,
and he froze up.
And this is Joe Park's map. There's actually a slide missing from here. that I had. Yep, it's missing. So there's also another thing that said, hey, there's another cave right down the road that's called Glover's Cave, and it's pretty magnificent and has walking leads that no one ever went back to. And so this is the complete map, completed in 1999, I believe was the final rendition. You can see this down here, it says 16,000 feet. So they added a little bit more. And so this is kind of the basis of what we're going to be doing. And can y'all see my cursor moving around? No?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So over here in the far west corner, northwest corner, this is the actual going lead, the big going lead that no one ever returned to. And so that got Barry and I interested enough to, we probably talked about it for over a year before we actually did anything. Here's some close-ups of Joe's map. And so you got the main entrance down to the Ernie Doesn't Get Wet bypass. And scrolling on through, this map was 3 miles, it's just over 3 miles. Lots of, passages kind of, I don't know. I'm curious to see how many side leads are like not noted on this map. But it seems like, with a mile of unseen cave that they've already saw, it just seemed like a good project. And since this area is so rich with caves, we thought that we might get lucky and be able to maybe connect something in. And here's the other slide I thought. So here's Glover's Cave. It says, hey, we found a new walking stream after a chimney climb hadn't been checked completely. Other unmapped segments deserving attention, but it remains closed. And so, and there may be somebody here who can speak more to this, but the story I got was that someone passed away in a cave in the area. And after that happened, the Glover's owner basically restricted all access of the cave, except for a few people who were in real good with them from the Indiana group. So that is kind of the story of Glover. And so Barry, in our night text messages back and forth one night, he sends me this map that he's kind of put together. And so we had a trip where we went kayaking down the Red River, the West Fork there. And so up at the north end, you'll see a bunch of blue points. Those were caves that we found along our kayaking trip. To the far west, well, not the super far west, but one kind of group in, you'll see Glover's Cave over there. And then the far east, you'll see Carter Cave. And you'll see it twice, 2 of the 3 potential entrances. One of the entrances is a sinkhole entrance. Might be able to get access, might have to dig it these days, not really sure, but there is what they call the Big Oak entrance, and then the main entrance, which are showed. So, and then all these leads, this is LiDAR leads that Barry pulled up between some of these known caves. And so, we were kind of wrapping up projects here in GRG. We did a great job of finishing the Hoy survey. We finished Cindy Cave survey, Dylan's Den survey, and we've got a little bit more mop up, but it just seemed time to also get something new and pushing something. And so Barry and I went out and we talked to Jedediah, who's our former president. Jedediah happened to collect beetles in Carter Cave during his time here at Western. And so he had the contact information and shared it with us and told us that we could do a little name dropping. And, I sent my initial message to Matt and, laid out the plan. And oh, there we go. And so we had our first visit. Oh. And so Barry and I came down. This is the sinkhole entrance here. It was pretty overgrown, and so we're kind of battling through thorns and stuff. And we just took a quick peek in, And hey, you know what? It goes like there is a cave there. So they said there's 3 miles, and we saw the beginning of it. And it starts out this photo on the left. It's kind of a stoop walky type thing. And a couple of 100 feet later, you can drop down the right-hand side of the cave and get in this stream canyon. And so that's about all we kind of checked out. We were hoping to spend the day talking to landowners. And so we didn't really venture in too far, and we headed on to other things that day. And so a week later, I was just thinking about it too much and thinking about, man, if I could go knock out that crawling at the beginning, that stoop walk crawling stuff, we could really get going on the second trip. And so the first day, December 12th of 2020, surveyed 522 feet coming in from the end. Shh, hush. And we here's a little bit close up of the sketch. And so yeah, we got the thing going, got the profile going. Said 14 stations that day. And so we kind of got in the middle of it, and you can see on Joe's map there, the orange colored in spot is what I did. And that's a little bit, it's a hair more than what I actually did that day. But that was the progress of trip one. I think we're getting rid of the dog. And so now survey continues. So January 9th, the new year, bringing in the crew. Here's Barry and Jim working hard around the entrance. And so we cut some steps into the slope that was heading down. We cut some briars and stuff out of the way. And so we made it really a lot nicer than what it was. And so thank you, Jim and Barry, for helping with that. And we got the second trip of survey going. And so Barry and myself and Nick and Trayson and Jim were all there on this kind of first big push. And you know, we were interested in just the passage that we were seeing. This is looking down from kind of the end of the day. This is kind of us heading out, but a lot of different variety of passage. And so there's the first trip drafted and the second trip line plot. And so you'll see those little legs out to the left there, and one or two little things to the right. So we were running into leads. And so here's a profile. And so that top piece is the entire profile from A1 to A26. And the second one's just, the second and third are just zoomed in a little bit. And so, yeah, we you know, we had this thing going. It was feeling good. But we definitely, and here was our progress. So we have made it down to the, almost to the Ernie Don't Get Wet bypass. There's basically a huge pile of breakdown in the passage. And so we pulled up just on the entrance side of it and haven't surveyed in, but we're probably 100 feet away from that spot. And so as we've been saying the last year, we're kind of mopping as we go. We're trying to wrap up leads and not leave anything hanging. And so after 2 trips, I counted 5 entrance leads to the stream that is on the north side of the passage or the right as you're going in the cave. And we've all agreed that we'll take a look at those probably in the summer. No reason to really get crazy with it right now. At A15, we had a upper belly crawl. Oh no. Easy. Okay. A18, we had a climb or a bolt climb that looks like it goes to like a stoop walk. A20, we had a hands and knees crawl going off. A22, a upper hands and knees crawl that's going off. A23, a lower canyon thing on the right. And then A26 was like, okay, go through the breakdown and continue main passage. And so at this point, we just decided, you know, let's pump the brakes a little bit. And this is where it really got kind of interesting. and we started hitting some of these side leads in this first 1,400 feet of passage. And so survey continued, trip 3 on January 22nd. Nick and Trayson decided to hit a lower level in main passage, bouncing off A23. And this is some previously unsurveyed passage here that's underneath main passage, which is pretty big, pretty nice looking canyon that unfortunately squeezes down to a sump after a little bit. And so this offset here is what they surveyed that day. And they added 296 feet to the project. There's a little bit closer view of it. And so they got a sump there. There is a small lead up there at the very beginning, which I don't think is too promising, but this cave is very convoluted. And so after 3 trips, we're up to 1,400 feet of survey, and we still got a bunch of leads left. And so January 30th, we're coming back and we're surveying into the B section, is what we're calling this new area that's not on the original map and off to the left-hand side.
Hey,
and
Josh.
through the first couple of trips, we were playing this game where I was catching up sketching from stations that we were leaving that we hadn't sketched. And so like this trip, while I was drawing the rest of the A 23, 24, 25, 26 stuff, Barry and Jim were up here surveying the B section. And Trayson and Nick went off to the B2. And so some of the maps that I show, the time frame just a little bit off because some of these things I was actually catching up. But so Barry and myself and Nick, Trayson, Jim, we're breaking into B. And so this whole southern part here is the main upper B survey. And so we were adding that in. We added, the 2 teams added another 615 feet. And the project total went to 2055 at this point. And so here's a little closer going in. We've got this going lead here. This is a big breakdown area, and this lead seems to go around it, which this is all, I mean, there wasn't any signs of anybody being back here. So I think just the people who've been in the cave this year are the only people who have seen this in quite some time. If somebody may have poked it, it wasn't on any of the other maps, and it looks pretty virgin. So so that had everybody super excited. Like, you know, we're just 1,000 feet, 1,200 feet into this cave, and we're putting up new stuff on it that's pretty nice and pretty serious. And so if you start on the right-hand side, this is coming out of the A survey. And so you climb up over this ridge, and yeah, you got to do a little bit. There's a short, 60-foot, 50-foot crawl, and then you can drop down again, and you're just in walking passage for a while. And of course, this profile is offset. A lot of the cave has a high floor ledge, and so most of that passage is a crawl if you wanted to do it. But usually on one side of the passage or the other, there's walking streamway that you can make your way through. And so February 5th, we're coming back. We're catching up sketching the B stuff. We're adding some more of this B side, and we really discover that this entirely new section is multi-level. And so at this point, I'm confident in saying we're going to have 3 levels, and in some places you could make a case for 4, but we'll probably just keep it at 3. And so Nick and I came back in to mop up some stuff. We didn't really add a whole bunch of footage this day, but we called up all the main sketching, which was the goal. And you can see this beautiful box work that's in this section of the cave here in this photo that Jim took. Really nice photo, but a lot of this B section the entire ceiling has this crazy boxwork that I'm gonna have to figure out how to put into the map and make it look kind of clean. And so after 5 trips, we're at 2,168 feet. And we've got some going leads in this B section. And so as we're mopping as we go, we're trying to keep killing it. And so we come back on the 21st. And I guess on the previous trip, we had discovered that you could go into this lower section of the B survey, which we named Hall of the Falls. And we actually found 5 waterfalls in this area. And so this was the first survey down into it. And this is a photo I took the first time I saw the first fall. And what's really cool is that in the upper section of B survey, at the end of it there in the breakdown, you can hear this water just rumbling in the floor. And it matches up perfectly when the survey data went through where that waterfall is, you can hear it in upper B. So that's pretty cool. And so trip 6, we added almost 400 feet. Dylan and myself and Christian and Sean and Nick and Jim again. And so this is I think the left side of Twin Falls, and there's not a really great way to get this waterfall in a photo. I'm going to try to do better, but there's 2 falls right here side by side. And this is the left one. And there's one, if you could move the camera over 6 feet and get the other one, but they're both about the same size. Also on this trip, Dylan had his wetsuit on underneath his coveralls. And so when we were coming out, right by the entrance, there are all these little upstream crawls. And so Dylan decided that he was just going to poke in, and you can see him back there in the back. He got further back than I just couldn't get a photo of him, but he said he basically saw like a 1.5 foot tall passage, 8 feet wide, going off upstream. And then there's a little hole like right by the entrance. That the one he went in is about 50 feet in. There's one directly right beside the entrance, and I shined my helmet in there, and he said he could see the light. So there's something going upstream. How pleasant it's going to be, I'm not sure, but we're definitely going to give it a good poke and see what's going on. And so with those kind of leads, and then we've got some B leads, it looks like upstream might be a place to do some damage. And so the project here, same trip, had some ice, which are cool kind of photos of the ice stalagmites and stuff. Of course, happy cavers. Here's the Christian said earlier, I came 1 trip to Logsden, and I got him 1 trip to Carter. And so I'm guessing since I'm going back to Logsden this weekend, he'll come back to Carter at some point. And we'll keep
I don't
trading.
know about that.
We'll
Better
keep
be less
trading.
muddy.
It is muddy. It's a cave that's going to eat some gear. But so here's where we're at 2563. This is kind of the main map. You can see here in this middle section, Jim and I came in and connected this A20 down here to B4. I don't have it all drafted in yet, but this is a multi-layer kind of area. And so there's a hands and knees crawl that goes to a very awkward kind of squeeze through a breakdown pile. And then you're back, kind of standing in a big room, which has 2 or 3 different layers. And so interesting. And so golly, it's trip 7. So this was just a couple of days ago. And we decided to head back. And this is Nick, a photo not from this actual trip, but another trip.
That was this trip. He's looking down into the waterfall passage right there.
Yeah, but that's a blue shirt. He was wearing a white shirt.
It was white.
It's just the light, I think.
Oh, okay. So this is the how to get into the lower B section. Nick's kind of looking into it. And so we added a tough 255 feet. We basically spent our time connecting all this inner level stuff. And so those guys dropped down to where you get to the waterfalls, but started surveying backwards away from them. And unbeknownst to me, Dylan and I, this was his first trip down there in the yellow. We went to a different section, and we're surveying kind of one of the middle levels, and you can hear Nick and Jim, and they can hear us just clear as day. And all of a sudden we're like surveying towards each other. And so we actually end up connecting in the lower level to the mid level this past trip, which was a good thing for the map. But we didn't push the boundaries any. Photographers so far, I've got some photos from myself and Melissa and Jim, and I'm sure that number that'll grow as we go. And so we've got 2,800 feet of survey. And according to Joe's map, if you just put where we've pushed down main passage, we're about 15% done. And we're averaging about 400 feet, and you can see all the surveyors there and the number of trips they've done. Nick Lashley and Jim and Trayson definitely helping me hold down the fort as our other friends kind of come and go with us. But it's a wonderful project. I'm hoping. Oh, okay. So I'm going to stop showing, but I've got one thing I want to show that I just didn't make the slide for. Give me one second.
If I can add, I think we're on our 7th Logston trip, and we've got about 1,000 feet less than you. So.
Yeah, your cave is much harder.
I would say harder. I'd say very different.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to bring up something, but y'all can talk for a second.
It's a lot easier, I think, to sketch in Logston because I don't have to worry about putting my book down in essentially peanut butter.
It's a true challenge. We were so muddy on Sunday.
I never heard Jim cuss so much. So much. It's raining. It's muddy. And it's just like, ooh, yeah.
Monsoon.
I wasn't. Well, I was cussing, but I wasn't bitching. I was just going, God damn, it was just, fuck this.
Yeah, I think he said the cave shit on him at one point.
Oh yeah. It was like all of a sudden this big glop of mud just went, and I was like, cave shit on me.
Yeah, that's another thing about this cave. The rock is shit. It will break on you at a drop of a hat. You can't trust it ever.
Yeah, ask Dylan about that.
Yeah, might have broke a little rock off trying to lift myself up at one point. So yeah, can't trust the rock.
No,
the cave's bigger.
Cave's bigger. Yeah.
What you guys didn't see, but I took pictures of, was that just past the first waterfall, there was breakdown between the last time we were in and this time. That big flat rock that was just above the waterfall now has breakdown on it, a pretty good pile. So the cave's falling apart. It's getting bigger all the time. Hello?
I'm here.
Yeah, I saw that. I went down and saw that with you. That was pretty interesting.
Okay. I'm going to reshare. Let me get this set here.
Further through that lower canyon downstream from the waterfall, we started getting into some nice formations and some fun mud pinches on a day when we have some more motivation. Definitely some slipping and squeezing in store for us. Christian, maybe. I'm looking at you.
Okay.
If I go back to Carter, I would like a walking lead, please. Really big. I want it dry.
Oh, you're so funny.
He's going to have to take me to a big
if,
sometime.
If we can do you get through the upper crawl that goes to a standing room that Trayson saw, and that's the best I can give you. So, it's yours, though. It's yours.
I mean, if you guys come to Logston, I'm giving you the nice stuff. That's all I'm saying. Is like I want you to have the nice stuff.
I know. I feel the carpet rolled out, and that's why I'm coming. Like,
I want.
like this is the last chance for me to be useful for you. So I'm taking it.
I
Anyway,
want to
so
do
We
your
specifically
crawl.
surveyed the awful connections this time, like so that everybody else can survey the nice stuff.
That's what.
No.
That's how you get Ben Miller to come back, buddy. You're doing good.
Oh yeah.
I want to do your crawl, Christian. How long is it? You said you went 30
Wait,
minutes.
which crawl, Nick? You
The
want to do the
bad
final
one.
crawl?
Yeah, I want to do it. You got to
Nick.
book me.
Nick, you might literally die.
I'll do it. I'll do it for you.
I'm pretty sure I was close to death at that.
Not
at one
literally.
point.
Almost, right? Okay, is everybody looking at the Carter map?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay, so just real quick, so I was hoping I had time to do some slides, but so the first trip came in, and you see that orange pop up, and then the second trip came in, and that's down to the don't get wet passage. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here. And so now we had the B, we came in, and we had the B upper. So this is all new, not on the map. We had the A lower. So this is what Trayson and Nick came in and did. That's new. We had the middle B, the lower B, and then here's all our, anywhere that's green is a going lead. And so we've got, in this lower section here, we've got 2 leads that are going through the waterfalls. This upper section, we have a lead. And all 3 of these leads are kind of working around a breakdown wall here. And so we're hoping to be able to get around that and get past. And you can see how close we are already up to the entrance. And so there's a whole stream on this northern side that goes north. And then we've got these 3 virgin leads. I'm gonna call them virgin leads just because nobody's been able to tell me, anybody who's been back here.
Josh, can I break in for a second?
Of course.
Right there, where those leads you're just describing, what's that symbol you have on the wall there? That's a different kind of symbol. What are you showing there?
This right here,
Yes,
this is a breakdown wall. And
breakdown.
so,
Okay.
So basically it's all just rocks falling out of the ceiling, sinkhole collapse that you're seeing kind of from the inside.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And so pretty interesting area. And so we've basically doubled the length of the new survey in this same area and have some really good leads. And then back here you can see there's another section that's green. And I think some of this ties in with our upper ceiling leads back in Main Passage, at least the one crawl that we can get to. There's the one that I put as a climbing / bolt lead. We've got 2 guys who are pretty good at climbing and do things that I would never do, but we'll see if anybody pokes it or if that's just something we put on the list whenever we can. But anyway, I wanted to share that. I kind of played with it for a little bit last night and just, I guess, didn't make up any slides, but that's kind of the gist of the new stuff we found. And we've got some good leads. And so tomorrow we're going to go back and Nick and Dylan and I are going to push up the waterfall leads and just kind of see where we go. So yeah, I guess I can stop sharing for right now. And if you guys want to see some updates of other cave maps while we talk, I can keep pulling up maps and you guys can keep talking. If anybody's talking, that's my girlfriend. She's funny. Funny look.
So is that the end of most of the formal presentation then, Joe?
That's it. That's right. You can hit the stop button. Thank you for coming. Green River
Alrighty.
Road rocks.